You're watching France 24's Access Asia. I'm Molly Hall. Coming up in today's show, Beijing tightens its grip on national security as a new law restricts operations of foreign NGOs in China. And stopping female circumcision in India. We look at activists' efforts to bring an end to the controversial tradition. Plus, the taps are flowing in North Korea's capital for Pyongyang's first ever beer festival. But first, a new law in China is tightening the reins on foreign NGOs. The legislation comes into effect in 2017, and it gives police wide-ranging powers to monitor the activities of thousands of foreign agencies that are seen by Beijing as a threat to national security. Here's this report from our team in Beijing and Shenzhen.
This is one of the most well-preserved natural areas in China. In the Sichuan Mountains, the members of the World Wildlife Fund NGO work to safeguard the environment. Their actions are already monitored by the Chinese government. They could become even more regulated. A new law plans to gag foreign NGO activities in the country. But in front of our camera, there is no way they can criticize the new legislation.
And like in any other countries, we work with the legal requirements of the hosting country. So if there will be legal changes, we follow the changes.
Out of the sight of the camera, a supervisor of the NGO wants to end the interview.
That's very sensitive. We just don't want to show that.
So is this the registration process the only element that has changed?
I don't understand your question.
This is a sensitive subject. The World Wildlife Fund has been established in China for 36 years and has close ties with the authorities. But other foreign NGOs are much more worried. Now all will be under the control of the Ministry of Public Security. And they are not the only ones concerned. Local associations are also indirectly threatened, such as Wu Guijun in Shenzhen. In the city, known as the World's Factory, he defends the rights of workers.
When the workers come here, we gather around this table. That's where we talk about the problems they encounter.
He created this association 1 year ago and is already under pressure from the authorities.
Nowadays, police harassment is daily. They constantly want to discuss things with me. Then they invite me to drink tea, to gather information. When we meet, they ask me what I do, who are the people that I met, and where does the money I get come from.
At his premises, the number of workers grows more numerous every day. Wu Fenchun is a seamstress from a well-known clothing company. She comes here every month as the factory is soon to move, and she's worried about her job.
I fear that the authorities will limit the actions of the local NGOs, or worse, stop their work completely. Then there'll be no one to help us.
Today, Wu Guijun's work is under threat.
Here's a free book on labor law. Take it. You'll see what to do if you lose your job and how to claim your overtime.
To continue defending the workers, he needs the financial and logistical support of foreign NGOs. But the new law will hinder their chances of collaboration.
For the moment, we continue to fund ourselves. But we would like to also be able to receive foreign financial aid. But the state's new policy is not very clear about the money that comes from outside. So we do not know what to do.
Zhong Zhiru is a well-known figure among local NGOs. For more than 10 years, he has defended the rights of workers. He is a prime target of the authorities. Within 2 years, he moved his office 15 times.
Up there on the 6th floor, that's our former office.
Why did you leave?
The local government prevented us from staying. They put pressure on the owner, asking him to stop renting the apartment because we defended the rights of workers. According to them, because of our actions, there is not a good working environment in factories.
The activist then leads us into his new premises, a brand new space costing £64,000 each year, donated by NGOs based in Hong Kong and the United States. Zhang Jiru shows the actions that have contributed to its fame, like this huge demonstration 2 years ago. For organising it, the police sent him to prison. He knows that with the new law in the future, it will be even more complicated for him.
The aim of the state with this law is to limit the existence of NGOs which are considered as sensitive. So they want to cut the money we receive in order to strike hard against our activities.
The law will come into force on the 1st of January 2017. Until this date, foreign NGOs and local associations will be forced to rethink how their organizations operate in China. But experts fear that without such groups, citizens will lose their chance to speak freely and advocate for change.
Next to an alarming figure from UNICEF, at least 200 million girls and women around the world have experienced genital mutilation. In India, FGM is a regular occurrence among the Dawoodi Bohra community. Well, despite their liberal attitude towards women's education, the traditional and controversial practice remains a violent rite of passage.
Bilkis is the typical modern Indian woman, a doctor who runs a practice in the frantic business capital of Mumbai. She talks openly about her sex life, breaking a taboo that runs deep in Indian culture. She's hardly the sort of woman you would expect to circumcise her daughter, yet that's exactly what she did 15 years ago.
I felt that this is a ritual which is going on since generations. It was done to me, and I had no side effects. I'm perfectly all right as my sexual urge is concerned. So I said I have to follow it because I have to be answerable to my community, and I'm in a community. And since it has not harmed me, I had done it for my daughter as well.
When her daughter Samina, a 22-year-old graduate student at an Ivy League school in the US, understood that she had been circumcised as a 7-year-old, she remembers being angry. Angry at her community, but not at her mother.
It's just to keep in conformity with the society. I do not agree with it. I don't think that in this day and age it is a logical thing to do that is backed up Islamically or even scientifically.
The Dawoodi Bohras are an affluent Muslim trading community of about 1 million people, concentrated mostly in India. They're known for their liberal attitude towards the education of women, yet they've allowed the practice of genital mutilation to persist. But last year, a group of Bohra women led by Masuma Rinalvi decided to start a petition to change that, and they now have nearly 50,000 supporters.
Every single woman of my generation has been cut. Every single woman of my time has gone through it. Now, this was 40 years ago. The tragic thing is it continues till date.
Despite thousands of supporters, Rinalvi's battle to stop female circumcision has been largely ignored by the community's leadership. And there are still no laws in India banning the practice.
Next, North Korea has opened the taps at the first ever Pyongyang beer festival. The event features just one brand, that's North Korea's Taedonggang beer, and it's considered the best in the country. And it's made at a brewery bought from England over a decade ago. Josh Vardy gives us a taste.
North Korea's first ever beer festival, but with only one brand of beer. Lucky then that it comes in a variety of 7 flavors.
Number 1 beer is made from barley. Number 2, 3, and 4 are made from barley and rice. Number 5 is made completely from rice. Number 6 is chocolate flavor. And number 7 is coffee flavor.
Brewed in capital Pyongyang, Taedonggang is named after the Taedong River that flows through the city. This 20-day-long festival is being held on its banks. There's a festive atmosphere at the start, but that may be because the beer was free for 500 special guests. Pyongyang nightlife is generally off-limits to tourists from other beer-loving countries, but some were present at this state-sanctioned event.
The beer is fantastic. It tastes just like back home, but because it's hotter here, you just have to drink more.
After 2 hours, in came the general public, who paid a $2 admittance, then up to $2.50 for each glass. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the state-owned lager got rave reviews.
It's really refreshing, it's tasty, it's got just a little bit of sweetness. I think there's no other beer in the world that tastes like our Taedonggang beer.
North Koreans tend to drink strong spirits as well as beer, which is generally seen as a soft drink in the country. Beer culture across the whole of Korea came with the Japanese during the colonial era between 1910 and 1945. The popular Taedonggang brand is brewed using classic techniques. All the beer flowing from these taps was made using equipment from an English brewery, which was brought by North Korea in 2000 and shipped around the world.
Well, from one beer festival to another, a new world record was set at the Qingdao Beer Festival in Shandong, China. But it wasn't for drinking, it was for the most robots dancing simultaneously. 1,007 to be exact. And they were all controlled with just one mobile phone, and they had to dance for a full minute in order to count. Well, a few robots were disqualified because they didn't dance or they simply fell over. Well, at least, though, they were able to make it. We'll leave it there. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you again next time on Access Asia.